Holly, thank you very much. Dee Cantor, Tina Napier, and Michael Price are officials. It's a big night for them as well. They are here on merit after outstanding seasons in their own right. Notre Dame, of course, in the green, and we're set for the opening tip from Indianapolis, and it's won by Texas A&M. We are underway. Aggies coming off that thrilling semifinal victory, the one-point victory, and Colson with a quick strike.
Okay, so Texas A&M scripted their first 4 plays just like you see football teams very often do, and that was exactly how it played in practice this morning. The back screen, free and Colson.
Off the hands of Becca Brzezinski, and a quick turnover for the Fighting Irish. That's a number we're going to watch very closely tonight. How many forced turnovers by Texas A&M? Adams mishandled that out of play. An easy pass right along the line. Maybe some early nerves for Danielle.
If Texas A&M gets in the half court, the next 2 sets should give Danielle Adams 2 different looks. One on the back to the basket, one on a post-up.
6 times the number 2 seed has won the title. In the lane, turned over, and here comes Sydney Colson. Made a terrific end-to-end run for that pass to Tyra White with 3.3 seconds remaining.
You can see Gary Blair, just as you noted. There's obviously some early nerves for both teams.
So Texas A&M to put it in. Trying to get free underneath. Wriggles in for 2. Adore Lanu, the 6'1 junior out of Houston.
She and Tyra White are both capable on the A&M team. That's not great offensively, but both of those players can create their own shot off the dribble.
Skylar Diggins, the sophomore. The bounce here for Novosel, and inside. She's actually the top scorer for Notre Dame.
Well, Novosel is very good at getting into the paint, whether it's off the dribble or in that case off their Princeton offense where they back cut. And against a pressure defensive team, back cutting out of your Princeton sets should be effective.
Lanu down the lane and blocked by Peters, a great defender. Big East Defensive Player of the Year. Novosel trying to take it all the way and draws the foul. As Carter tried to slow her up, she'll go to the line.
Well, dynamic guards in the Irish green jerseys tonight, and they will put an awful lot of pressure on your help defenders. Skylar Diggins draws 2 white jerseys, a little mismatch inside. Novosel going against size, but gets separation with that step back.
Novosel, a terrific finisher, and she learned that in the backyard games against her taller siblings. Her brother Nathan, who is 6'5", her sister Shannon, 6'1". They both played collegiately.
Well, listen, this is the Big East most improved player this year. You could argue that she's one of the most improved in the country, averaged only 5 points per game. Said, I didn't know my role, I didn't know where I fit. I think she's figured it out.
Got it quickly ahead for White, who is an unsung hero in the victory against Stanford. She scored their last 2 baskets of the game, including the game winner, both within the last 19 seconds. Adams trying to take that baseline. That's her shot.
And as I said, the next 2 half-court sets for Texas A&M were going to be plays for Adams. That one, that patented fadeaway.
The Irish worked on nothing but inbounds plays the first 7 minutes of practice yesterday because it's so tough to get it in against this Texas A&M team.
Well, Becca Brzezinski is forced to come out because she's got a terrific jump shot. And what does Danielle do? Just go right at her with the dribble, lean back. Very hard to contest her shots when she's taking that fadeaway jump shot.
Adams tries that fadeaway again and buries it. Comes in averaging 22 points a game. At 16 in the upset of Stanford on Sunday. So A&M with the early 4-point lead. Diggins has it knocked away. Colson nearly got to it. Diggins strong into the lane. No foul there. Comes out to midcourt. Nice effort there by Mallory, but a double dribble.
Danielle Adams has not yet had an offensive explosion in the NCAA tournament. As an undersized post, the matchups have not been great. She is working against Becca Brzezinski, and I think she's saying, tonight, I think I can do some work.
5 for 12 shooting it against Stanford. As you say, only 39% shooting for Danielle Adams coming into tonight in this tournament. But tonight may be her night. Flicked away by Novosel, but Texas A&M will retain.
Well, what you like about what Gary Blair did in scripting the 4 plays is he basically could settle his team down. They didn't have to think a lot. They knew they went over the first 4 in practice today, so it gives you a little sense of calm. You know what's coming on the offensive end.
Adams, they tried to get it to her again. Tip back to Carter. Here's White straight on, and that won't drop. Diggins fighting for the rebound. She tipped it back out for A&M. Terrific look there by Colson. Ilano too far under. Now fouled, and she'll go to the line.
So a lot of toughness by the Texas A&M Aggies right now. And that maroon section is a little outnumbered, but they're trying to make some noise, and their girls are giving them good reason. Very athletic is Adora Ilano. Gets rejected the first time, able to finish with contact, and Gary Blair says, yes, ma'am, we're playing tonight.
Novosel with the personal. Ilano from Houston. Had a big game in the upset of Baylor as she pulled in 10 rebounds and can't convert on the foul shot. Diggins lines up a long one and around and out on her first 3-point effort of the night.
Now you think about a Texas A&M team. Stanford is incredibly well coached. They were deep, talented, and experienced. The point guard was a Pac-10 Player of the Year, and they were completely shaken up by the pressure before it was all said and done. The A&M players, Dave, told us we could see in their eyes they didn't want the basketball. Can they have the same impact on the Irish guards?
Said their eyes got wide. Novosel in heavy traffic denied. Ilano picks it up. Colson nearly had it knocked away by Mallory. Finds White, and she'll lay it in. They become a dynamic duo.
Well, I'll tell you what, you had a lot of green jerseys. Very slow to get over that midcourt line. The Irish look a little bit stunned right now. Got to show some toughness here.
Well, the Aggies look very, very serious in the warm-up drill before the game. They have taken that on the court. They force another turnover. Ilano on the open floor tried to get it to White, tipped out of bounds by the Irish. But here comes Texas A&M. Relentless pressure early in the national championship game.
I don't think we're a Cinderella story at all.
We're here to take care of business. We know we have a job to do.
I think that we definitely earned our way here.
You have to believe that you can win if you're actually going to do it.
Let's flash back to 1998. And Arkansas head coach Gary Blair leading his 9th-seeded Razorbacks to their first Final Four in school history. They defeated the 2nd seed Duke 77-72 in a regional final. Arkansas remains the lowest seed to make a Final Four. They lost to eventual champion Tennessee in a national semifinal.
This is a man who started coaching girls over 30 years ago in Dallas because he was running an intramural program. A group of girls came knocking at the door and asked him to please coach. A year later, the administration and football coach offered him a coordinator position in the baseball job. He said, no thanks, guys. I'm enjoying the women.
No roll there for Adams, but the rebound by Ilano, and here's Adams again. Can't cash in on that one. Notre Dame has already turned it over 5 times. Mallory taking the baseline. Nice dish underneath, but the deflection. Texas A&M clamping down again on the interior, Doris.
Well, they really are, David, and the reason why it's very hard on one day's preparation to simulate the type of speed at every position except Danielle Adams that this team has.
Also with a dish off the penetration, no for Ilano. But A&M with a 12-4 lead. And for Gary Blair tonight, by the way, 65 years old, he would become the oldest coach to win the women's title, just as Jim Calhoun at 68 became the oldest to win the men's last night.
Well, and there is where the Irish believe they have an advantage. On a team of outstanding individual defenders, they believe Danielle Adams is a good help defender, but not a good individual defender. So they get Becca Bruszewski on a post-up in their first real quality opportunity.
Carter, who did not shoot the ball well in the semifinal, just 5 out of 19, off to Ilano with a miss. White with the spin, up and in for 2. She is very quick.
Explosive leaper, explosive driver.
And it's going to go the other way. 14:02 to go here in the first half.
So yet another turnover by the Irish. This one happened to be in a dead ball situation, but the 5 previous ones, several of those were live ball turnovers for Muffet's team. And the problem with those, Dave, is generally speaking, you can get in the full court situation where you have a numbers advantage.
White on the wing. Here's Adams. Sidney Colson, not a big scorer, but one of the best passers in the country. Carter gave up the dribble. Milano will shoot it, and it's in and out. Adams, a tough rebound, and up and in. And when she gets positioned like that, forget about it.
That is Charles Barkley like during his days at Auburn, and we said she reminds us of him. She didn't even know who he was. Took a little YouTube video.
That's going to be an offensive foul on Natalie Novosel. And back over to A&M it goes.
You need a timeout right now. The Irish just look a bit shaken.
Novosel with her second personal foul. And A&M is doing it again.
Look at Vic Schaefer. This is the man responsible for all that pressure and the nightmares that he probably gives opposing coaches. He prides himself on the performance of his team, and this is what they did to Stanford. They are terrific individual defenders. They're going to get up in your grill, and they're going to force you to make mistakes, and there is another one by Natalie Novosel.
Now the defense against Stanford was absolutely suffocating.
Make no mistake, that is an incredibly well-coached Stanford team that was deep, experienced, and talented. And that's a Pac-10 Player of the Year, Jeanette Poland, getting stripped on the jump shot. They tried the backdoor cut out of a triangle offense. Nothing doing. Pressure on the ball, a little uncertainty. Look at this. I mean, listen, this is hard to play and hard to absorb if you're an opponent. And down the stretch, as they told us, Dave, Stanford players didn't want any piece of that basketball, and that's when you know you're doing your job.
And as good as Stanford was and is, they look like they had never seen a defense like that all season long. Points allowed 48, 34% shooting, scoring margin of plus 23, and the Fighting Irish are rattled.
Well, now you've got dynamic guards, and who is Muffet addressing right now? Skylar Diggins, who's capable play at the point guard, is why they are here. So now you've got to just get control of your team.
The officials are going to the monitor, and they're trying to find out if there was a high elbow here. So it could be more than just a simple foul. And Novosel trying to get clear of Colson. Colson went down there. Remember, Colson ran right into a very hard screen the other day. Very clean play by Nneka Ogwumike. Went down hard and injured her neck, but she bounced right back up after a couple of minutes. We'll give you a look at the elbow rule and the nuance on it this season. A player shall not excessively swing his or her arm or elbow even without contacting an opponent. The action resulting from total body movement of the ball incidental to feinting with it, releasing it, or moving it to prevent the held ball or loss of control shall not be considered excessive. Let's go to Holly Rowe.
Guys, I just listened in while Dee Kantner and the other officials were debating this call. They wanted to see if it was intentional or not, and they said because she hit her right in the face, by rule, that is going to be ruled intentional. But they did discuss it amongst themselves. They reviewed it several times. They came over and told Muffet she can't be happy, but guys, they did have a very long conversation about making that call.
The language is clear. It says if a foul is called, an elbow contacts someone above the shoulder, it's an intentional foul. It's a pretty simple rule, and this is about nothing more than player safety. It's in both the men's and the women's game, and I think it's the right rule, Dave. I really do. Anything that's for player safety, I'm for.
So Colson will shoot, the 5'8" senior, at 68%. It's interesting they don't put Sydney Carter at the line, who is 86%, or Danielle Adams. Danielle is at 96% for the tournament, but in Colson's case, she was the one that got hit. So she goes to the line. That's the reason for that. 14-2 A&M run since it was tied at 4.
So just as they did against Stanford, a terrific start for Gary Blair's team. The defense has set the tone from the outset.
Here's Carter high on the wing. White trying to get it to Adams. That's been tough in that corner.
Well, obviously she has hurt them in the early part of this game, so now you see multiple defenders head in the direction of number 23 in White.
Peters on the high post. Krzyzewski underneath. Can't get free. Adams right there in her hip. Oh, that's a tough shot for two.
Wow, she just used that left shoulder to clear some space, and that is not an easy thing to do. Move that frame of Danielle Adams. They call her bruiser for a reason, I think, Becca Krzyzewski.
Now Colson with a foul as it's whistled at 12:41 to go here in the first half. It's going to be number 2 on her. So 4 points, 2 fouls for the point guard, and she's going to have to sit.
So right away you can see it appears that the timeout call by Muffet McGraw was good for her team. Now let's see if they can eat into this lead with some quality offensive possessions.
Quick dish for Peters, and the strike using her good 6'2" size.
Nicely done. A little up screen, a diagonal up screen that just allows the long, athletic Peters to come right to the post.
The Irish starting to gain some momentum. White will bury the jump shot to silence them for the moment. She has 6. Turner into the ball game. Kayla Turner getting some minutes early in this first half for Muffet McGraw. Diggins looking for someone to set a screen. She's been pretty quiet so far, unable to get her shot off into Peters, though. And that's what they talked about before the game. If she can't score it, she can do that. She can carve you up defensively.
And Skylar is no longer impatient if she's not scoring the basketball. She cares not. And her time will come in this basketball game. Terrific catch by Peters in that instance.
Marianne Baker in now for Texas A&M. Carter fires and gets it. A 3-pointer.
But when she gets it going on the offensive end, it can be dangerous because you've got to deal with Danielle Adams on the post-up, and then she becomes that balance on the perimeter.
Approaching 11 minutes to go here in the first half of the national title game between Texas A&M and Notre Dame. Diggins gave up the dribble. They try to get it back to her, batted around. Mallory hit the deck. Diggins is open. Rounded out. Peters has the rebound knocked away from her. Nothing like an easy rebound here in the first half. Shot clock down to 10 now. Carter doing a lot of dribbling to get herself open. Not there. Peters collects.
It just never looked like they had any idea where they wanted to go on the offensive end. Run something and be decisive with it if you're Sydney Carter.
Turner at the 18-foot line. Can't get that one in, but White was there to collect the board. Adams got hit in the face again. Danielle Adams got popped a couple of times in the national semifinal. To play with 9:54 to go, and it'll stay on this end.
The Irish a little bit more settled. Muffet McGraw had a long conversation with Skylar Diggins. She's not a blow-by guard, but she will navigate and find positions, and she does so. Heck of a catch by Peters. But Sydney Carter, the heart and soul of this team, if she drains jump shots, folks, look out.
If you're surprised to see us here, then surprise, because we are here. We never back down, no matter what point it is in the game.
This is the stage where champions are made, and we want to be one of them.
Well, a lot of green in the crowd here in Indianapolis. Let's toss it over to Holly Rowe.
Coach, what's the biggest challenge A&M's presenting for you guys right now?
Well, we dug ourselves a really big hole. I think it's the defense and the rebounding. We didn't get on the boards well enough, and then we're a little nervous on offense. I think we'll settle in and be okay.
Thanks, Coach.
23-12, Texas A&M.
5 offensive boards for Texas A&M, 6 second chance points. The Irish no offensive rebounds. So they've yet to get a possession, Dave, where they've gotten multiple looks. And then the points off turnovers, 10-4. Everything you could hope for if you're A&M, and a nice little play there.
And Ilanu to cash in off the inbounds to make it 25-12. Biggest lead of the night for the Aggies. So far pretty quiet from Brittany Mallory along with Natalie Novosel. Peters, tough catch and banks in two. So she's off to a good start. Perfect 3 for 3.
And you can see the Irish are intent on trying to exploit those two players. You can get into the lane as a guard and make plays for the big players.
Marianne Baker off to White. Shot clock inside 10.
You see, A&M will give you a chance to get back in because they're not a great offensive team. If they're not turning you over and scoring, they can struggle at times.
On the drive, a little teardrop there from Baker just into the game to open up a 27-14 lead. It's Peters, the main target. She's fouled on the play by Tyra White, who jumped in to defend. Let's check in with Rebecca Lobo.
Well, guys, A&M's offense is much more smooth on the other end when Sydney Colson is in the basketball game. Doris, what did Gary Blair tell us this morning? If Colson and Adams play 40 minutes, we can't lose. But instead, she's on the bench with the 2 fouls. A&M's played really well the past month because she stayed out of foul trouble. But early this season, she would get into it. Don't expect her to come back into the basketball game because they can't trust her not to pick up that third.
And she's an emotional player. She's a very well-spoken young woman. Every time we asked a question in our meetings with her, she was the first voice you heard. And she's not shy about challenging her coach in game, Dave. But I think sometimes her strengths can be her weaknesses, and she's got to just settle down. I think it's a smart play. You've got the advantage. There's no need to play her right now.
And she admits it. She says, I know I'm a little too daring at times, forcing the issue somewhat. 27-16, Texas A&M looking very composed right now.
And the Irish have gone into a zone. I think this is a smart play. You haven't heard from Danielle Adams much here.
White's starting to feel it. That's a 2-pointer for Tyra. She has 8 in the first half.
I'll tell you this, if they make shots, I think they're almost impossible to beat because their defense is going to impact you. They will affect you and turn you over. So if they're playing on both ends, boy, they're a tough out.
Tyra White at 18 against the Stanford Cardinal. Novosel down the lane, bank shot, got it.
And the Irish win with their guards. I mean, bottom line on the offensive end, they need both Novosel and Diggins to put a number on the board. I don't think they can win without their scoring.
Carter knocked away. Diggins with the theft, 1-on-1 for 2.
Prime example of it. I mean, both players very, very good off the dribble. Hard to keep them in front as a defender.
Diggins averaging 15 a game. That was her first bucket. But it brings Notre Dame to 9 down.
A&M 13 of 23. They're shooting 57%. Can they keep it up?
Peters outlets. Here's Turner. Trying to beat Carter. Baker came and committed the foul. A hard foul with 7:17 to go. That'll be her first.
We talked about 2 dynamic guards having to play well if Notre Dame was going to walk away with a national title. Natalie Novosel goes right by Tyra White on the crossover dribble. Skylar Diggins starting to make some plays on the defensive end. A strip steal, a layup, and the Irish looking a little bit more solid.
Jonathan, thank you very much. Texas A&M on top of Notre Dame here in the national championship, 29-20. ESPN is your NBA destination for Wednesday night's doubleheader at 8 Eastern. It's the Milwaukee Bucks heading to Miami to take on the Heat. At 10:30 Eastern, the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. Coverage starts at 7:30 Eastern with the Kia NBA Countdown.
Wonder how much energy Phil Jackson wants his team to expend to try to catch the Spurs in the standings.
Turner at the line. Kayla Turner, a sophomore from Joliet, Illinois, as we go to Holly.
In the last Notre Dame huddle, Muffet McGraw said they're not doing a good job defensively on the high post. She made some adjustments to where they're standing. She drew it up for players on the whiteboard. And then Jonathan Sippis, her assistant, made a great point. He said, pay attention, their backup point guard, 32, Adrian Pratcher, just checked in for A&M. She had 3 turnovers in 3 minutes on Sunday. Go after her.
Notre Dame as close as they have been in a while, within 7.
Well, this is one way to go at a point guard who makes mistakes. Put it in her hands against full court pressure, and right away it takes its toll.
Pratcher immediately kicks it over. Pressure from Skylar Diggins.
And right away, Gary Blair says, my point guard, Sydney Colson, has sat long enough. Skylar Diggins is now applying pressure, and this is twice she has forced a turnover. Let's see if they can capitalize.
Skylar Diggins with the ball here. A week ago at the Dayton Regional, she had 9,000 Twitter followers. She woke up this morning to about 50,000. She has become immensely popular and getting the offense going. Peters for two. This is a 10-2 Notre Dame run.
And the length and athleticism of Devereaux Peters is playing a factor in this game. And when she's at a high level, this team is extraordinary.
Diggins, great deny defense there. Thought she got a deflection off of Adora Ilanu. But it'll be Texas A&M ball with 6:37 left in the half.
See what I mean? A&M simply is not explosive enough. Even though they've shot a good percentage, they're not explosive enough offensively to put you away.
Colson trying to counter that attack, and she will go to the line to shoot with 6:30 to go. Sydney Colson, the 5'8" senior.
Well, it's just a good switch. I mean, you've put some trust in her here that she's not going to pick up that third foul. But she gives you confidence and mojo on the offensive end. And right away she says, things are getting away from us. I'm going to make a play.
Achanwa with the personal. And another one coming for one of the two Sydneys. Colson and Carter for the Aggies. Becca Brzezinski will return now for Muffet McGraw.
It'll be interesting to see, does Gary Blair take her out with maybe just over 4 minutes? Just to be safe. Now, protect her a little bit from the foul trouble, Colson. Get her underneath the 4-minute timeout, and then bring her back in for end of half. We'll see how he manages that.
Colson got that one as well, 31-24. 6 for Sydney Colson. The Irish certainly appear to be settling into their offense. They're feeding Mallory. Here comes a three, and she got it.
And she made big shots throughout the course of this tournament. Looked a little bit shaken at the start with some turnovers, but now that should give you some confidence.
That's the run for the Irish. Just 4 down now all of a sudden. Adams in close for 2, not to be denied.
Well, no reason against a 2-3 zone that you can't get isolated on the post. If you enter the basketball, she's good enough against multiple defenders to get shots.
Here's Mallory again. Can't follow that up and knocks it out of play. And she went down, that time on the left shoulder. It was the right shoulder she went sprawling on top of in the national semifinal.
Now, both teams, very physical games with Connecticut and Stanford respectively. All of the players, to a person yesterday, said we're sore, we're tired, but adrenaline will help us tomorrow night.
The quick Carter, Ilanu charging in, no whistle there, it just falls away and out of play. So Texas A&M will retain here with 5:25 left. Carter super quick, great energy, even when she's not shooting the ball well. Played all 40 minutes and didn't turn it over once in the game against Stanford. Over the top for Adams. Kind of a lazy pass there, barely got to Colson.
Boy, you do not want to be casual in the national championship, and that's what Adams was.
Got it away from Ilanu, and the Fighting Irish come away with the turnover, 33-27. Erica Miller. Trying to get it to Skylar Diggins. The kid out of South Bend, Indiana, playing in her home state, and a reach-in foul by Sydney Colson. That's going to be number 3.
And so you make a gamble, and Colson makes a mistake. And you can see the frustration, and now he's got to go back to Pratcher, and he's got to try to build her up. Now listen, you gave her a cushion. That is absolutely unacceptable for an experienced player. You've got to understand the value you have to your team. She's saying what? And our question to you, Sydney, is what are you thinking in that instance?
So Pratcher back in. Got a very quick but stern talking to by Gary Blair. Carter trying to defend Diggins, commits the foul. Got her on the elbow, and she'll be shooting 2. The 2011 Final Four for Skylar Diggins against the University of Connecticut. 14, just 2 so far in the first half, but starting to get into the flow. And hits the first one. 72% at the line.
That number, that scoring number, doesn't necessarily tell you the impact she's having in this basketball game. You can see her scoring has not been high in the first half, but you know who has? Devereaux Peters. So you work through the matchups that are advantageous to you. If she scores, great, and if not, no issues.
And Peters has 10 points. She averages about 12. They break the pressure. White's had a hard time maintaining the dribble. Take on Peters. That's a tough task for anybody. Adams wants that fall away but can't get it.
She's undersized, so sometimes even when she gets separation, if you put a little bit of length on her, it's difficult for her to make shots.
Diggins dishes. Mallory fires. And a whistle, and that's going to go against the Fighting Irish and Becca Brzezinski. And not happy at all. She's never afraid to let you know when she's not happy.
Well, you see the fouls. Neither team is in the bonus. We may get under 4 before anybody shoots free throws. After 2 teams, and we showed you the graphic to start this telecast, that are very good defensively. To not foul is outstanding.
Thatcher with the bounce. Stripped away from Ilana with a whistle. 3:56 to go. Well, the biggest lead was 13 for Texas A&M, but the Irish have sliced it down. 33-29 in a game already chock full of emotion here in Indianapolis.
Notre Dame within 4 here in the national championship in Indianapolis, and Gino Auriemma in Connecticut were beat by Notre Dame in the national semifinals, and he said they're the best offensive team in the NCAA tournament, and once they settle down and run their stuff, you can see that they have made progress. A little dribble drive to the right, an up screen leads to a wide open shot by Ms. Devereaux Peters, and they've got multiple options on the offensive end. As Muffet said, they had dug a hole because they were a little bit shaken, but now you can see there's a different countenance, a different presence about the Irish.
Peters has made all 4 of her shots. Look at the cold start for the Irish and how they have heated up to pull to within 4, and now shooting 59%.
Well, that shows you after they stop the turnovers, which they haven't had any in the last 10 minutes, well, you're getting good shots.
So Brittany Mallory, the senior, to walk it up. Outstanding three-point shooter at 41%, but made a bad pass. Adams hits the deck. It kicks to Peters. Shot clock at 10 now for the Irish. Diggins took a look at the clock. Now at 4. Needs a screen. Tough shot. She got it off in time. How about that?
On the ball screen, A&M made the switch, and it was switched to size. That's just an offensive player being better than terrific defense.
Thatcher with a nice step. Able to get across midcourt and break that pressure. They're doing everything they can to harass her, with Colson in foul trouble on the bench. Shot clock at 2. The feed for Adams. Actually went out of play before the shot clock violation. 7 turnovers now for A&M.
Now Skylar Diggins is in masterful, complete control of the Irish offense. With the clock going down, she just calls for a ball screen, gets everybody else out of the way, and makes a play.
Notre Dame with a chance to tie. Peters off the fake, took the bump, she'll go to the line. She's had a huge impact here on this first half. Let's check in with Holly Rowe.
Well, Texas A&M got a lot of attention coming into this game because of the defense they play, and rightfully so. They're terrific. But Notre Dame is just as effective. In fact, They're forcing opponents into 22 turnovers a game, the exact number that Texas A&M does. In fact, they've got 7 turnovers now. A&M starting to struggle with this Notre Dame's pressure on defense. Muffet McGraw told us, this is the most committed team I've ever coached on the defensive end, and it's showing up right now at the biggest moment.
She told Holly about 10 minutes ago she figured they'd settle in. They have. The Masters returns to ESPN Thursday and Friday afternoon as the world's best take on Augusta for elusive glory in the coveted green jacket. First and second round coverage of the Masters Thursday and Friday on ESPN. 3D coverage begins both days at 5:30 Eastern.
Defense is as much about a willingness and commitment to play as it is defensive schemes. Notre Dame under Muffet McGraw has always been an outstanding offensive team. You need commitment and schemes. They do a great job mixing defenses. They've shown several different looks to A&M thus far on the defensive end.
Devereaux Peters with another one coming as Colson continues to sit with 3 fouls. She missed them both. She's a good foul shooter at 74%.
Well, that miss, that's a huge miss. Sydney Colson, number 4 in assists all time at A&M. 3 straight years of 100-plus assists. And you just feel a little bit different. Carter now has to handle those responsibilities, and that's a miss.
Move it in for Adams, and it spins away. Boy, right on top of that iron. So the Irish with another chance. Guess who? Peters again, the intended target. He'll stay with Notre Dame with 2:23 left in the opening half.
Muffet McGraw electing to go without Natalie Novosel because she feels like she's playing close enough, and that will change Novosel's approach in the second half.
Peters along the baseline, kind of a wild shot. She was off balance, but it's kept alive by Miller.
Now, Frederica Miller doesn't help you, but no shot clock change. You got to get an attempt here.
So 2 to get off a shot, and out it goes as Notre Dame gives it up, even with the second life. Thursday at 5 Eastern, ESPN2 and ESPN3.com. The Frozen Four begins in St. Paul with Minnesota Duluth taking on Notre Dame. For live stats and game recaps, go to NCAA.com. So Notre Dame missing a couple of chances to tie. Adams way downtown, no. Diggins knocked away by Adams, and the quick hands by Danielle. Adams, scoop shot, she goes down, no whistle.
Well, they're letting it play. There's no question about that.
Krzyzewski underneath and gets the bucket. And finally, Notre Dame has tied it at 33.
I think a little frustration by Adams. She doesn't get up the floor. Her team gets put in a bad defensive position, and like that, we're locked up.
Last time it was tied was 4-4. White in the paint trying to get that lead back and draws the foul with 1:16 left in the half.
Well, the Irish get in transition, and Mallory does a nice job coming to the left-hand side of the floor, drawing all eyes and attention that way, and then delivering it to the right block. And Becca Brzezinski has got great hands.
Devereaux Peters with the foul to put White at the line. She's not automatic, 62%.
You see the difference in philosophy, though. Gary Blair elected to go back with Colson. She commits the foul. Novosel came back in briefly, but then went right back to the bench. The approach of both of those players now will be different. Novosel, when she comes back, can be aggressive and assertive on both ends. She's a dribble driver, so you want her thinking freely.
Adams will commit an offensive foul, so that'll go against Texas A&M. Still tied at 33. Now Texas A&M will substitute in Carla Gilbert, their tallest player at 6'5". Adams will go to the bench. Notre Dame has never led in this first half. The Aggies with pressure.
Wow, Becca Brzezinski just tries to dismiss Asarian on the way up the floor. Dee Cantor says, hey, doesn't call her on it, just simply warns her.
Diggins slicing in, lays it up and in for 2, and the Irish lead for the first time tonight. 35-33. What a turnaround. It was a 13-point lead for the Aggies. Carter knocked to the floor by Miller, and she helps her back up.
You can hold Skylar Diggins down for a certain amount of time, but eventually her ability to dribble drive you is going to have its effect, and she does a nice job with the crossover. Simply a little change of pace. Doesn't actually get a screen from Brzezinski, but there's enough activity around there that she's able to find the lane and get to the rim.
Well, White nearly stepped into the backcourt, able to tiptoe that midcourt line. A&M until moments ago had either led or been tied virtually the entire half. Shot clock inside 10.
They're just not pretty on the offensive end, A&M.
Carter, well, that missed ugly. And a foul here against A&M with 14.9 to go. Adams right now watching, coming up on the Home Depot halftime report. Karen Carolyn, first half break. And talking about Crouching Muffet. That's all coming up at halftime. Colson is going to return. Notre Dame with a 1-and-1 coming.
He's got more guts than I do, Gary Blair, because if she goes to the rim and commits an offensive foul.
That's 4.
Wow.
And a major player for the Aggies. Already in deep foul trouble.
If I'm the Irish, I put Frederica Miller in the face of Sydney Colson and see if I can't get her to commit a push-off foul.
As Peters jumps in, great rebound there. She's had an outstanding first half. They're going to hold for one. And the final shot. Diggins, airborne, well short. Adams has her outlet pass tipped away, and that's the end of the first half. Since Colson's third foul, Notre Dame went on an 8-0 run. What a difference that made. And they catapult into the lead of the national championship at halftime, 35-33. Let's go to Holly with Skylar. Can you underestimate her value in running their offense?
No, it's impossible. She gives you another pressure defender and somebody who's been outstanding making decisions over the course of her career, especially in the offensive end, not necessarily defensively. But the game turned, obviously, when Notre Dame stopped turning the ball over. They had 7 turnovers in the first 6.5 minutes, only 1 in the final 13.5. Let's see if A&M's pressure can have a 4 or 5 minute stretch where it impacts Notre Dame the way it impacted Stanford.
Notre Dame opens up with a basketball. Peters had 10 in the first half. Diggins had 8. Krzyzewski spinning into the lane looking for Peters. She's really been the target they want to get the ball to, and she draws the foul. As we give you a look at the first half numbers. 8 points for Adams, 8 points for White. No really big scorer for Texas A&M. That's got to be Danielle Adams in the second half, doesn't it?
Well, she's going against both a physical defender in Becca Brzezinski and a long defender in Devereaux Peters. So it's always a challenge. She's going to have to step away to make some shots. And I think the Irish are going right where they should, and exactly where Muffet McGraw told us they have the advantage. With Devereaux Peters and Becca Brzezinski, who are a combined 7 for 8 in the first half.
That was Adams' second foul, by the way. Notre Dame leading by 4. Here's Colson up top, where she ran into a vicious screen the other night against Stanford and went down. Then it looked like maybe the high elbow had grazed her in the first half, and she went down. White with a misfire out high. She's a very tough kid. I thought maybe she wouldn't take the foul shots, but she did. Krzyzewski tied up on that baseline. And Mallory will set it up for Muffet McGraw. Backdoor cut. Diggins draws the foul in the opening minute of the second half. Now let's go back and compare the men's final first half to the women's final first half and the scoring. And what a difference. I don't mean to torture Butler fans anymore, but 40 combined points in the men's final.
Anyone tuning in Indianapolis, you just upset a little bit.
And much of the country was upset by some of the shooting we saw in the national championship. But congratulations to the UConn Huskies. What a magical run.
Jim Calhoun is now in rare air with all of those titles he has. You wonder about his offseason. Does he make a decision at 68, the oldest man to win a national title? Does he make a decision to step aside?
Gary Blair, the Texas A&M women's coach, is trying to become the oldest to win a women's championship tonight. 39-33 Notre Dame. Shot clock inside 10 now for the Aggies. Over the top, Adams. Around Brzezinski for two.
And they elect to just play behind with Becca Brzezinski. And Adams has a sensational feel. She uses her backside to feel that defender and then roll either direction, whichever way she feels more comfortable based on the way the defense is playing.
Novosel took a tumble in the lane. No foul there. Here's Diggins. That grazes the iron. A battle for it. Peters out fighting everybody. Still battling and draws the foul. And she's all hard under there.
That's flat out outworking people.
Deborah Peters, the senior from Chicago, just getting it done. The foul will be on Ilanu, her third. Now here's what Gary Blair said at halftime for Texas A&M.
Now, we've been here before, ladies. We just played a bad 10 minutes. You played a great 10 minutes. You find a way to turn it into a positive right now. Turn it into a positive.
Well, they built a 13-point lead and then gave it away.
Listen, let's remember that they were down double digits toward the closing minutes against a very good Stanford team. Their defense, though, has to take its toll. They're simply not good enough offensively to beat the Irish unless their defense affects the game.
Adams dribbled it off her leg. And it's the Irish pressure. Notre Dame seeing the press now. Carter went up and committed the foul. That'll be number 2 on Sydney Carter. Once again, it's Brittany Mallory taking the brunt of it.
They're doing what they have to do. They elect to go to full court pressure. And again, it can happen in 6 and 7 minute spurts where they're effective, but they have to impact the game by turning Notre Dame over. Otherwise, they simply can't win.
Diggins and Carter, pretty entertaining duel. Diggins tried to dump the pass underneath, and it's a blocking foul. They may have gotten Adams on that one. Now, Notre Dame said before the semifinal, that's number 3 on Danielle Adams, they thought she was too much of a flopper, that she got a lot of calls because of that, and because she's a big kid, when she hits the deck, it's automatically a foul.
Yeah, she's taken 21 charges, though, so she does a pretty good acting job, apparently, if she's a flopper.
And you wonder if Muffet McGraw made that point to this officiating crew before the game.
She had an Irish leprechaun whispered in the ear of the 3.
Muffet, along with the gigantic Notre Dame extended family, can celebrate a national title with her own big family if she wins tonight. She was the 4th of 7 brothers and sisters in the McGraw household there in Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
Well, in the Irish extending pressure, what you're doing is challenging an A&M team that struggles offensively to go ahead and now beat you full court, but that's excellent execution.
So under 17 and a half to go. 42-37. Novosel trying to get started. Spins to her left. Nicely done.
Just put your head down and drive. They did it all night long to Connecticut. Looked like she might have used that left arm to clear the defender. That could have been an offensive foul.
Gilbert, all 6'5" of her trying to get to that rim, and she'll take the hit.
Watch Natalie Novosel use her left hand to get the defender off. You know on the catch, a little simple rub screen, she trails it. The rip-through move, the left hand pushes Sydney Colson back a bit. Not enough, apparently, for the officials to blow the whistle.
Mallory's first foul. Gilbert 67% at the line. McDonald's and Parade All-American out of high school, where she was coached by her mom. Carla's mom also played in college at North Texas. Her dad played for Texas A&M.
It's an interesting switch by Gary Blair. It's usually the case where Gilbert comes in for Adams. Now you're going to a bigger lineup. You wonder if that's to counteract where Notre Dame's hurting you, and that's in the paint.
Diggins across midcourt. 44-39 the Irish. trying to win their second national title. They won their first in 2001. Peters has been dynamic tonight and strikes again.
Big lineup didn't matter. Back on Selection Monday, Rebecca Lobo was looking at players who could change the fortunes of their team. And on her list, Devereaux Peters.
The bounce for Adams. A slick feed there from Colson.
You see how important she is? And this is a player, again, triple-digit assists in each of the last 3 years.
Over 200 this season. 46-41. With the bounce, Peters again, and they do not have an answer for her.
They don't. That's a big lineup, and again, the best offensive team in the NCAA tournament has been the Irish. And after the initial, shaky start, their pace and execution has been outstanding.
Colson to the lane, got it. Quick step from Sydney Colson. Give her 8 points as she's starting to become the offense for the Aggies. And the offense for the Irish is wearing number 14. Here's Diggins, short on the layup attempt. Carter, she can push the tempo with anybody in the country. The pull-up shot. And Peters will simply let it fall on a play.
Devereaux Peters has another year of eligibility. Her energy, her passion, and tonight her scoring has had an impact on Notre Dame. Just goes right at Danielle Adams, using her length and athleticism around the rim, a drop pass, an easy deuce, and the Irish in control. The Leprechaun Legion is in full effect. We are in Indianapolis, not too far a drive for all of those Irish. And Skylar Diggins has played with great pace and poise. And she didn't let her lack of scoring early in the ball game impact her decision making. So this particular time, she sees the vision that down the open part, they call that the pro alley, it's wide open. And look at her performance in the most important games of the year. 24
and then 28 against Tennessee and Connecticut. And now starting to get it going with 12 tonight. She's 3 out of 8 and also 6 for 6 at the foul line. Let's check in with Rebecca.
Well, no surprise that last huddle was run by Vic Schaefer talking about defense with his A&M team, and he said this is very fixable regarding Devereaux Peters and her scoring. He said our second line defense had been so good we'd had some breakdowns. Then he drew a line down the middle of the key. He said they're not going to get the skip passes. Weak side defense needs to be in the middle of the lane, guys.
Diggins will not be denied, but it won't fall. Rebound tipped. Ochanwa can't get it to go. And it comes out to White. And she'll look for a guard. Here's Colson. Gilbert wants the ball in the post, doubled up. Now triple team and taken away. Here tight D by the Irish. Novosel gave it up on the dribble, and Gilbert got slammed by Peters. Devereaux Peters with the foul. She's got to be careful. 17, her second foul. She disagrees. She rarely does agree. Thursday at 8:30, ESPN2, the Frozen Four continues. The second national semifinal as Michigan takes on North Dakota. For live stats and game recaps, go to NCAA.com.
Just to go back to what Rebecca said, I know A&M's coming up to the offensive end. I'm not sure that either Adams or Gilbert has the speed to stay with Peters inside. So I don't even know if their help side is in the right position, that they've got what they need to deal with her. And the Irish go 2-3 zone on the defensive end.
Cross court, here's White to the baseline. Oh, a beautiful shot. Took the foul. She'll go to the line. Well, that catch she made the other night in that full end-to-end run there by Colson was spectacular, too.
Yeah, this is a play she made against Stanford late. And both times, if the defense had stepped in, they could have taken a charge. This is an exceptional athletic play. Splits two green jerseys. Well, you go for the block shot, don't give up the body, you give up the and one.
14 points a game and a three-point play for Tyra White. Fouled by Ochanwa, picked up her second. So a two-point game. Here's Diggins, the shovel pass. And it is tipped out of play by Texas A&M. The officials had to get together on that one. Diggins to put it in. Here's Mallory. She wants the lane. spins it up and off the iron, and Adams is there for the rebound. So now Texas A&M with the chance to tie or go ahead. Adams trying to get position on Achanwa underneath, and the foul. Danielle Adams going in strong, the State Farm All-America.
I like the play call. It's simply a quick hitter, very simple offense, a little two-man game on the right side of the floor. And Adams is smart. You can tell she's been an undersized post her whole life because she gets into her move quickly and decisively. I'm not saying she's moving at a high rate of speed, but her mind is moving at a high rate of speed.
It's number 3 on Achanwa. Krzyzewski's getting ready to come back in for Notre Dame. Adams is hitting 96% of her foul shots in the tournament. And her family, her mom cheering her on here tonight, and her grandma as well. And great-grandma, too. So all the Adams are here for Danielle out of Kansas City.
We had an unbelievable shot of her in the locker room after the national semifinal where she was sitting in her locker. A look of absolute disbelief that she had a chance to play for a national championship.
Well, she has just put Texas A&M into a tie. Diggins, pull-up pop in the paint. And Carter there for the rebound. Now the momentum has turned in the Aggies' favor. Carter goes sprawling for it, getting very sloppy there right at the foul line. A timeout called by Gary Blair. Before there was any chance at a turnover, the crowd doesn't like it. First, they are pro Notre Dame, 48-48 in the national final. ESPN is your NBA destination for a Wednesday night's doubleheader. And first at 8 o'clock Eastern, the Milwaukee Bucks are heading to Miami to take on the Heat. And then at 10:30 Eastern, it's the LA Lakers battling the Golden State Warriors. Our coverage gets underway at 7:30 Eastern with the Kia NBA shoot-around. 13:43 to go in the championship game. Devereaux Peters has had a major say in this one. Maybe Skylar Diggins trying to do too much on the offensive end.
You wonder if Niele Ivey has a private conversation with Skylar Diggins and just says, listen, let's continue to play with pace. Our decision-making down the stretch has got to be outstanding. From this point forward, whichever team does the best job executing and taking care of the ball will walk out of here with a national championship.
Danielle Adams drains a jump shot to give her 18 points and put A&M in the lead again. 50-48. Novosel leans in. No. Peters fouled on the floor. She seems to be getting almost every other rebound.
She's just too fast for anybody they have inside. And look at what she has done through the first 5 versus tonight. You watched a tape of UConn versus Notre Dame from January 8th where Devereaux Peters was a terror. She was out in front of the pressure. She was blocking shots. She was around the rim. She changes the equation for Notre Dame.
Here's a whistle before the inbounds pass with 13:24 to go in the second half. That'll be against Tyra White of A&M. That's her second.
That's huge. The Irish do a great job getting to the free throw line, and they are already in the bonus. So now, while you want Novosel and Diggins making good decisions, if you're Gary Blair, I would anticipate that they're going to put it on the deck and get to the rim because it's every foul they're taking opportunities for free.
13:24 to go in the second half, and they're already shooting 1-1. Let's go to Holly.
Well, Natalie Novosel, who's at the free throw line right now, has been a remarkable story. Last year, scoring just under 5 points a game for her team, has come back to lead the Irish in scoring this year and was named the Big East Most Improved Player. She did it by going home to Lexington in Kentucky, working out 5 days a week with cardio. She said, I did a ton of swimming. I knew I needed to be in better shape, be quick enough to stay on the floor, and she's transformed not only her season, but that of the Irish.
The bounce inside for Adams. Before the shot, she's hit with 13:09 left.
So she paid a price, not only doing the conditioning, Holly, but also taking 700 shots. You pay the price in the gym, and this is the kind of transformation that's possible. Great players are not born, they're made.
That is 3 fouls on Devereaux Peters. She heads to the bench for Notre Dame. So it's a major development the way she's playing. 17 points, 9 rebounds. Colson trying to get it in, just does.
See, Adams is getting a little bit frustrated. Achanwa just got physical with her. She's between Brashevsky and Achanwa. That's not easy.
Achanwa knocked it away. She forced the theft. Here's Miller bouncing for Diggins. Back to Miller. Can't finish. Novosel right back up. Boy, she was right there on the spot.
And you know what? You'd look at a box score at the end of this game and not understand the impact Frederica Miller has had. She gave them mistake-free minutes, 4 rebounds and 2 steals in the first half, and she's given them solid minutes here. She is a defensive stopper. Look at her get down. Oh, that's a silly foul.
Commits the personal with 12:34 to go. Number 2 on Miller.
You can see, though, when she's down in the stance, she's long, she's athletic, and she's very hard to get by.
Mallory will come back in for Muffet McGraw. And Diggins will get a rest.
She'll sit, I would imagine, until the under-12 timeout. There's the national championship point guard trying to help another one earn one. That's Nihal Ivey from the 2001 team.
Mallory picks up Colson now. Quick dribble. Carter deep in the corner.
Now Carter's been quiet, but in the waning moments of the national semifinals, she had big shots.
Colson floats a pass to Adams and a blocking foul. And count it! Count the basket. She'll go to the line for a 3-point play.
Wow, was she and her gathered? Had she gathered for her shot?
Late. It was a late call that the basket was good. That's number 4 on Natalie Achanwa.
Well, we get the benefit of the replay. See, I think it happened before. I think that's a bad call. I think it's a block, but I definitely don't think she was in her shooting motion.
Look at Gary Blair. And
D didn't make the call, but he says, good job, D.
Yep. Peters getting ready to come back in. That will not drop in on the 3-point play for Adams, so settles for the disputed bucket.
If Rasheed Wallace were watching this game, he'd say, that's it. That's the basketball gods, because she shouldn't have been shooting those shots.
Tied at 52. Backdoor cut, not there.
Oh, no, he had her as a block shot. That was not a shot opportunity. It was 1-on-1, Dave. That's why she shot that free throw.
That's right. And down goes Carter. Mallory.
Wow.
Tough underneath that iron. And once again, a Notre Dame player is down. Once again, it's Brittany Mallory. So we have a timeout with 11:43 to go. And we'll take a break as play heats up in the national championship game, tied at 52. Well, somewhere in there, Brittany Mallory, who continues to get knocked around and knocked to the floor. Go back to the national semifinal when she had to recover from a bad shoulder fall. This is just moments ago. She is taking a beating, the senior from Baltimore.
Muffet McGraw says we'd be lost without her.
Staying in the game. Let's go to Rebecca with Gary Blair.
Coach, much like the semifinal, this is a back-and-forth game. What do you need from your team the next 11:43?
Take care of the basketball. We're creating enough havoc, but they're probably shooting 60%. If we don't turn them over, they're making it. We're getting the ball in. Finally, Danielle is taking what they're giving to her, is taking it inside and scoring, but we're in foul trouble with her. So they're going to flop on her a little time. She's got to be smart and on when to pull up. Colson has just got to read the defense. We've got to score easy in transition, and I don't think we've had a transition basket today, but it's a heck of a game, and hey, they're waiting for us, Rebecca.
All right, Coach, thank you. Guys.
Hey, Gary, we were waiting for you. 11:43 to go. He's terrific. They're not quite at 60%, but they are at about 47% right now. For a while, they were pushing 60%, shooting lights out.
I asked Coach Blair this morning how he got started coaching women. He responded for 15 minutes, never answered the question. And Holly had to say, so, Coach, exactly how did you start with the women?
He loves to talk. He is so entertaining. 53-52 Notre Dame.
Now, this is what you would expect. 2 number 2 seeds, closely matched in terms of their numbers and their abilities.
Whose pass will escape Adams and roll out of play. That is 13 turnovers.
And Gary Blair had to be a salesman. Before he took over, it was an A&M program that was dismal, and that's being kind. This guy can flat coach. He did it at Stephen F. Austin, then at Arkansas, and the Big 12 was getting more competitive. The salaries in women's basketball were going up, and he probably spoke to 1,000 Rotary clubs trying to get promotion and people in the seats, and he's done exactly that.
And 595 games in a terrific career. Diggins traveling with it, and nobody came to her. Nobody came to her aid, and she's a little upset, and I think rightfully so. Turned it over 4 times so far.
We had Sherry Cole on set, and she did talk about the penchant that Skylar has at times to make those turnovers. And part of that is because this is a natural 2 guard who's been asked to transition to the lead guard, and she's done it beautifully.
Colson swings it here for White. Adams, who's been terrific in the second half, now has 22.
See what he means, taking what the defense is giving her? When they're playing on her back, she's simply drop-stepping and going to the rim. If she needs to, she steps away and makes jump shots. We have waited to see Danielle Adams' versatile offensive package, and we've seen it.
Novosel dribbled it off of her. She was harassed by Colson.
Well, Danielle Adams, the National Junior College Player of the Year in 2 years, over 1,000 points at Texas A&M, getting the job done late in the national championship.
Timeout with 10:33 to go here in Indianapolis. Texas A&M has retaken the lead. They are a number 2 seed, and so is Notre Dame. And clashing here for the national title. Well, the Masters returns to ESPN Thursday and Friday. The world's best take on Augusta. First and second round coverage of the Masters Thursday and Friday on ESPN and ESPN 3D at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, and 3D coverage begins both days at 5:30 Eastern.
Gary Blair has been coaching girls basketball since 1973. Started at a high school in Dallas, South Oak Cliff. Slowly but surely, he's built Texas A&M into a national power.
And he has said here in the second half, get the ball to number 23. Adams has scored 14 of their 21 since the break.
He was coaching women's basketball when it was not cool to coach women's basketball. They know who they are and how they win. Can their defense do enough here?
Well, 7 to shoot. Dump it down for Adams, spinning into the lane. Give her 2 more.
And what do you notice? A lot of this right now, Devereaux Peters has got to get more involved, I think, on the defensive end as a shot blocker. She can give some assistance in there.
So it's the Aggies by 3. They had a 13-point lead in the first half. The Irish surged into the lead by 2 at the break. And now it's A&M in front. Diggins, tough move with the left hand, follows the miss for 2.
Outstanding job following her own miss. The Irish showing zone. And Skylar Diggins holds up her hand, showing 2-3. And she just comes out and plays aggressively on the ball, and now it takes a 2-3 look at Alano with a good post-up, just a tough pass.
Couldn't handle it. Texas A&M clings to a 1-point lead.
Look at Diggins. Looks like she takes some contact, doesn't give up on the play. I thought Tyra White got a piece of her on the first shot.
Skylar named to the State Farm All-America team this past weekend. Wonderful honor for her. They're with Danielle Adams and Maya Moore, among others. Diggins outside the 3. Trying to penetrate. Little bump. Got it. Well, a little physical contact doesn't bother her at all.
Not at all. And I'll tell you what, Sydney Carter does about as good a job as you can do. She gets back into position after getting screened, has a hand up. That's just Skylar making a terrific play.
She has 16, and it's Notre Dame by 1. 8:40 to go in the national championship. Carter. Well, they want Adams to touch it every time, but here's White to bury it. A 2-pointer.
And if Adams is going to continue to be successful, they've got to make enough jump shots to keep it balanced. Otherwise, Notre Dame could just put multiple green jerseys around Danielle and make it tough on her to score.
So back and forth we go. 5 ties, 6 lean changes. Novosel underneath the basket. And it is going to be a foul with 8:14 to go against her and against Notre Dame. That's going to be her third personal. So Novosel with 3. Again, their top scorer at 15 a game.
This is an A&M team that prides itself on its defense, and all of them are willing to give up their bodies and take charges.
White with the bounce. Ilanu, a little fade in the lane for 2. Adora Ilanu, give her 8 points. A&M by 3. Krzyzewski on the high post. Diggins on Carter. The leaner. Off the rim. Colson trying to get free. She's nudged and fouled by Brittany Mallory, who pled her case. Colson once again knocked to the hardwood. And a helping hand to get on her feet. 7:32 left. Well, the emotion of a national championship, with both sides knowing what is on the line and knowing it's the last college basketball game of the season. This one coming down the stretch in Indy. Back in the beautiful city of Indianapolis, 7.5 minutes to go here in the national championship. A&M has sprung into a 3-point lead as we take a look at tonight's Capital One Cup impact performance.
Well, Texas A&M is shooting 11 of 13 in the second half. Danielle Adams has finally broken out. This is a gifted offensive player who scores from a lot of different positions on the offensive glass. With her back to the basket, simply rolling off defenders. Face-up game is outstanding. She can make jump shots. She's got a wide frame to eat up space and go right into the rim, and she's got 24 points on 11 of 18 shooting.
Let's go to Rebecca.
Well, guys, Danielle Adams, as unassuming as they come off the court, always the first to give her teammates the credit and praise. And after their semifinal game, the players were sitting in the cold tub, and Sydney Colson said to her, "Do you realize all you've meant to this program? All the stuff you've done." She's the first team All-American in Texas A&M history, and she's helping. She said, "You're helping lead this team to the point we are now." And so, while she doesn't like to bring credit to herself, her teammates definitely appreciate what she's done.
Colson making 2 at the line. Danielle Adams had a 40-point game against Kansas in February, which broke the school record. 15 double-doubles on her way to a big night here in the biggest game of her career. Mallory gives up the dribble. Here's Krzyzewski. Adams tight with her. Shot clock down to 10 now. Diggins well outside. Shot clock at 5. Diggins trying to get into that paint and traveling. The ball got stuck on her hip.
What did Rebecca Lobo's interview with Gary Blair tell us? That they had to turn the Irish over and they had to get some easy transition opportunities. And Dave, it doesn't have to be constant. We saw that against Stanford. This defense can take its toll in pockets, but as long as they're scoring out of it, so be it.
Carter pulls up and pops 2.
So turnover, easy opportunity.
And now Texas A&M has played their way to some breathing room, leading at 64-57 on an 8-0 run. Diggins taking it on her back. Great dish. And there's Peters, who's been quiet for so long. She's had a tremendous game, 19-9, but she'd been held out of the scoring column for quite a while.
Boy, both Skylar Diggins and Colson were really slow to get up the floor approaching this possession here.
White hard into the lane and a foul with 6:14 to go. That's going to be an offensive foul in her third.
Skylar Diggins trying to make plays for herself or her teammates. The dribble drive, understanding that she's drawn 2 defenders. Somebody, her teammates, should be moving to give her options, and Peters does exactly that.
Diggins over the top for Novosel. In the paint. Drops in a bucket. They need more from Natalie Novosel here down the stretch, trailing by 3. She has 14. Irish fans in full throat in Indianapolis.
alternating between different types of zones. Shot clock at 4.
Long one. Colson with a miss, but they get it back in a new shot clock. So A&M a little bit fortunate as we approach 5.5 minutes left.
They've gotten Danielle Adams on posts up against this zone. Can they get her here?
Novosel went for the steal. Carter's open in the corner. Can't hit it. Mallory with the rebound. Mallory wants to take it in strong. Short, and Adams with the rebound. Mallory did not wait. They didn't set anything up there, and we're 5:05 away, perhaps, from having a national champion and a new one here in 2011.
They are tired. As I said, you've got players all over the floor that I think are feeling fatigue. Your adrenaline has got to push you through here.
Peters with the foul going out for the block on Ilanu, and that's number 4 on Devereaux. So 4:52 to go. Ilanu in the act of shooting, so she'll go to the line for 2. 4 on Peters. Ilanu at 79% for the year.
This is an Irish team that the talk at the start of the year amongst the players was we're probably a year away from the national title. And senior Becca Brzezinski said, folks. Just like she's saying now, no. We are good enough to win it this year. I don't think we expected either team, or I should say we could have expected one of these teams to make it. The fact that both did is a little bit of a surprise.
There's Notre Dame knocked off both Tennessee and Connecticut. First time that's happened in tournament play. Here's Diggins. Yes! A 3 to make it a 1-point game. Well, I don't know if we would have had a more entertaining national championship if one of those superpowers had gotten in. The Irish within 1. Adams wants it. Bank shot and a foul. Danielle Adams back to the line.
Chanwa fouls out, so that's one less body. I thought they missed an offensive foul. Becca Brzezinski's nickname is Bruiser. Listen. You cannot dismiss a defender like that. I mean, that's just uncalled for. And then Skylar Diggins, this is what results in it. A defender thrown to the ground. Adams is sort of waiting and feeling where her teammate is. Nowhere to be found. She's late on the challenge.
Danielle Adams is grabbing at her left elbow. So in some pain. Muffin McGraw couldn't believe the call. She said 3 times, awful, awful, awful about the call.
It was probably awful on the other end. Becca Brzezinski not getting caught for that offensive foul in the screen and roll situation. So you give good, you get good.
So Adams to the line, and again, she's been superb in the NCAA tournament at the foul line. And 2 for 3 so far tonight, 96% for the tournament. Now she is nicked up if that elbow is aching, and she continues to flex it. Not affecting her foul shooting. Big second half for the All-American with 17. And missed the second one. 66-64.
Now, interestingly, against Connecticut, it was a lot of Natalie Novosel late. Who do they put the ball in the hands of?
Diggins wants it. Short jumper and a foul as well.
Look at the face on Skylar Diggins. That's absolute calm and absolute frustration and confusion by Carter.
Carter with her 4th foul on this play. Diggins sticks it, and she'll go to the line to try and put the Irish in the lead. Just under 4 minutes, tied at 66. Doris, what do you think of this last call?
I didn't love it. Sydney Carter is an excellent defensive player, and if you don't call Skylar Diggins for that right-hand push-off, then don't call Sydney Carter, who goes straight up and down. If you don't call a push-off, you don't call that foul, and this is an N1 situation, and frankly, I don't think she should be shooting a free throw.
Now, what did she do wrong?
You don't call the push-off, so therefore don't call that foul. I mean, yes, she had her left arm on her, but it was her other arm was straight up and down, and she didn't hit the shooting arm.
Diggins to the line. Let's go to Holly.
Just before that last play, Skylar Diggins came over and had a conversation with Muff McGraw here on the sideline. She said, "Hey, coach, let's run thumbs up." You show her, she comes down the court, she runs it and makes that play. Doris, she talked about the face of Skylar Diggins, how intent it was, how mature and poised at this moment, 3:56. She came over and suggested something to her coach and went down, executed it perfectly.
Her higher level thinking has led to this team being in a position to win a national championship. And after that shot that she made, there was the picture of poise and calm and someone in complete command of her team.
And remember, she's only a sophomore, but could not put Notre Dame in the lead. We're tied at 66. Ilana gave up the dribble. Here's Colson. She asked for that screen. She'll shoot the shot. Adams there for the rebound. Right back up for two more. She has 27.
She's just carving space and doing a great job getting inside position to get offensive rebounds.
Danielle Adams has had an All-American night. Diggins trying to answer but can't do it. Rebound coming out high on the roll. Now batted away from White. She saves it across to Carter.
Look at the white jerseys come slowly up the floor. These women are tired. And it looks like Tyra White may have taken a shot in the gut because she's holding her stomach.
She is. They're trying to help out her teammate here. Bounce for Adams. And she tends to settle for longer jumpers when she gets tired. Now a scramble on the deck, a tie-up. Possession arrow will keep it on this at 2:43 to go. Texas A&M ball. Let's see White ailing a little bit. She went down on a hardwood right across midcourt just seconds ago. 68-66 A&M.
You can see on the bottom both teams with 3 timeouts apiece.
Adams puts it to the floor. Right back up strong, not to be denied with 29.
We have been waiting for their first All-American to have a night of explosion on the offensive end, and she couldn't have picked a better night to respond.
Notre Dame takes a timeout. They have 2 left. The Aggies have 3. Texas A&M has never won the national championship. Notre Dame won it in 2001.
Danielle Adams made 2 screens late in the Stanford game that led to buckets. And this night she has been the offensive force we've become accustomed to seeing over the last 2 years in College Station. The adjustment made in the air. Doesn't get a lot of air underneath her feet when she jumps, but enough to make that up and down.
And enough to score 21 in the second half. Her family loves it. 2:33 on the clock. And Danielle Adams trying to take the Texas A&M Aggies onto a championship.
She and Tyra White are kids out of Kansas City. As you see the reset, plenty of timeouts both sides. Possession favoring Notre Dame.
Mallory. Here's Novosel. Trying to get between those defenders. Got it free. Brzezinski has it blocked. Adams tears it away. And she got hit again. But they are bouncing off Danielle Adams. Colson going to get free of Diggins. A 10-second backward violation in women's basketball, although I know you want to see that changed. Colson went a little bit acrobatic there and a little bit wild. A foul with 1:56 to go. She commits the foul. It'll be number 4.
How about the defensive play of Danielle Adams getting right in the face of Becca Brzezinski and very strong with the basketball after the block. Lots of green jerseys reaching and slopping.
Colson with 4, Carter with 4. In deep trouble for Texas A&M. They try to hang on with 1:45 seconds to go in the national championship. Novosel trying to move on that baseline. Scoop shot, no. Peters there to follow for 2.
So just like they did against Connecticut, they get Natalie Novosel on the left-hand side of the floor, and they let her work a one-on-one matchup.
Diggins went for the theft. Colson to run some clock here with 1:20 to go. 2-point game. Timeout, Texas A&M. So Gary Blair takes one here with 1:17 left.
Well, when you get a dribble drive by one of your guards, it is your business as a post player to go to the offensive glass. Natalie Novosel, little stutter step swing, and what happens? She puts it up soft enough for her teammate to get in position.
Texas A&M on top, 70-68, Doris.
Well, you see if Texas A&M tries to run this play through Danielle Adams. Late game, there are circumstances where the Irish like to use their backdoor, understanding that the defense is going to be up and deny.
White trying to get it in, does to Adams. Now they have 9 to shoot it. Here's Colson. Carter. Adams. Blocked by Brzezinski and knocked out a play off of the Fighting Irish.
2 on the shot clock here. So you do have a chance to quick catch one dribble if necessary. But ideally, you get a catch-and-shoot situation.
Blair calls out the play. Colson will inbound. 1:08 to go. White, quick shot. Yes, a three-pointer! And she has made gigantic shots in the Final Four, and now tonight in the championship. 73-68. Right in front of the shot clock buzzer. And a timeout, Notre Dame.
Well, it looked like that clock kept running as that timeout had already been granted. I wonder if they look at the monitor here, because I felt like it kept running after that whistle had blown, acknowledging the timeout. How about that? This is exactly what Tyra White has done throughout the course of her career. They call her the silent assassin. You needed a catch and shoot. How about the degree of difficulty with Skylar Diggins a hand up and contest?
Tyra White, the player who hit not one but 2 gigantic shots in the last 19 seconds in the upset of Stanford, each time putting them in front.
Well, I really felt like, you know, the time, it'd be interesting because Muffet was over on the sideline calling the timeout. I felt like there was some time that went off.
So right now, 51.9 seconds remaining. And we'll see if they do go to the monitor. Notre Dame has the ball when we come back.
It's really a question of whether they acknowledged it, but I'm going to be honest with you. I thought there was at least 53, 54 seconds when Muffet got the timeout. Now, it may not matter.
Well, they are looking at the monitor. This is one of the scenarios they can check the monitor on a clock issue. Let's take a look.
See Muffet, she draws it. Oh yeah, there's no question. There's no question sometime. What they determine, I don't know, but I think it's at least a couple ticks.
73-68. Texas A&M with the lead. And Tyra White has done it again. But Notre Dame still has time. An official review to, we believe, reset the clock. We'll see how much time they put back on there. If they decide they're going to put any back on. In fact, they are 54.1.
And I like this. I mean, it was clear to me that Muffet had gotten the timeout and that clock kept rolling. And this could be crucial because the Irish need as many seconds as they could gather.
Do they go for 3 here?
I think if you get a clean look, you can, but I think I would go for the rim because they've got such dynamic playmakers.
They're only 2 for 7 shooting threes tonight. Diggins will try a 3. Around and out. Carter with the rebound. Trying to get out of there. Taken away by Diggins. And a foul. She got slammed in the lane.
Yeah, but I'm not sure it's not her momentum. I thought she was a little out of control, and the white jerseys were standing there.
That's going to be number 5 on Sydney Carter.
Wow.
So she has fouled out of the national championship.
Yeah, she's saying my 5th, but she doesn't seem like she's disputing the foul call. And again, we get the benefit of the high angle look. Obviously, Texas A&M has 2 players with the ball. Yep, that's contact. That's a good call.
So Skylar Diggins at the line, a 72% foul shooter. Again, Carter is done. She's shooting 2. 73-69. She can make it a 3-point game. And she does.
And you come with Baker, not Pratcher, because Pratcher has not been solid with the ball. Baker's a 71% free throw shooter.
Diggins tipped it, now goes for the theft. And what an effort there by Skylar Diggins. A tremendous effort as she raced deep into the backcourt.
Boy, this is a home run when you might have wanted a single. Now, who touched it last? Ooh, that might have been Tyra White.
Instead, Texas A&M will have the ball. 38.3 to go. Colson inbound.
And they're going to elect to play their defense out and go for a stop.
Diggins on Colson and got her to turn it over.
So you got a couple choices here. And again, they went for the three early with Skylar Diggins. I still think you've got plenty of time to go for the deuce. You know Texas A&M doesn't want to foul you, Dave. You've got dynamic playmakers on the bench. And if you think that guy's nervous, how do you think the players feel?
Timeout, 73-70, Texas A&M. Notre Dame with the ball. Check out who's in foul trouble. Chanwa has fouled out. Carter has fouled out. Peters and Colson each with 4.
So you've got Skylar Diggins, Natalie Novosel, and late in the Connecticut game, they went exclusively to Natalie Novosel on the left-hand side of the floor, let her put her head down and go. I think if you get a clean look at a three, you can take it, absolutely. But if you do that, you're Muffet McGraw and you're looking for that early. It's got to come very early, because if you miss, then you got to foul and lengthen this game.
Again, Notre Dame 2 for 8 tonight from 3-point distance. And Diggins hit one, Mallory hit the other. Mallory also hits them at 41%. Novosel as well at 41%. If they elect to go for the three immediately. Skylar Diggins trying to tie this ball game up in the national championship in Indianapolis.
Two evenly matched 2 seeds. They had to go through a conference nemesis to advance. Baylor had beaten A&M 3 times. They had to beat them in the regional final. Connecticut had beaten the Irish 3 times. They had to beat Connecticut in the national semifinal. They were up to those challenges. The numbers on these 2 teams are even, and it's played exactly that way.
The inbounder will be Devereaux Peters. And bounce for Diggins. Here she comes. Novosel. Back to Diggins. She faked it and gave it up. She turned it over. And a foul with 19.6 to go. And Texas A&M has 2 shots coming.
You were looking for a little step-back flare screen, but there were so many green jerseys in the same area that it makes it difficult to handle the ball in that congestion.
White to the line.
They're looking for the little step-back flare from Brzezinski, and the recovery defensively so good by A&M.
White, not a great foul shooter, but hits the first one. What she has been is a great player in the clutch here in the Final Four.
The silent assassin. Quiet, consistent production.
And Gary Blair was an assistant for Louisiana Tech when they won a national championship. And now just 19.6 seconds away from winning as a head coach. 5-point lead for A&M. Diggins into the paint. Not there. Tapped out, and Notre Dame will keep it with 12.8 to go. And Coach Blair will take a timeout.
I think you're willing to give up a 2. You're telling your defense, guys, let's make sure we're on the catch. Any 3-point shooter is a hand up and contest without fouling.
The Aggies playing their way into their first Final Four in school history. They knock up Brittany Griner and Baylor, number 1 seed, then Stanford, a number 1 seed to get here. They had an early 13-point lead. That disappeared. Notre Dame led by 2 at halftime. Back and forth throughout the second half. And now A&M is less than 13 seconds away from a national title.
His grandson was at practice earlier today, and Holly Rose said, "What do you think of Grandpa?" And he goes, "I love him. He's the best." Grandpa's pretty close. 12.8 ticks away after 30-plus years of coaching women's basketball.
Mallory over the top for Diggins. 10 seconds. Gave up the dribble. Mallory has to get it in the air. Fires. Peters on the line there, but with 4.8 seconds, they give it up.
Appropriate that they make a defensive switch and stop. But Gary Blair is going to use another timeout.
Notre Dame fails to get a quality look.
It's appropriate. You did the one thing you had to do in that instance, and that was guard the three-point line to make sure nothing crazy could happen. There's great communication and an excellent switch out to the three-point shooter.
Well, Gary Blair, 65 years old, right on the verge of becoming the oldest coach to win the women's title, just as Jim Calhoun became the oldest man to win it in the men's championship last night at the age of 68.
25 winning seasons in 26 years, but no national title. More wins than anybody else in history. And for the first time under his tutelage, the program matters.
Colson to get it in. Derricka Miller will check in for Notre Dame.
She's got to come in.
And Brzezinski will step out, the senior, to the bench. Starting to sink in for her. Texas A&M by 5. Colson in for Adams. And they fouled her with 2.8 seconds to go. Kind of fitting that she would go to the line the way she has shot free throws in this tournament. She has 29 points.
Vic Schaefer is on the sideline at A&M on his knees, coaching every single possession over there. Living and dying.
Well, it is the crowning achievement of a career, certainly for the players first and foremost, but for these coaches who've been at it for so long, decades, to come away with a national championship. Adams missing on the first one.
A dynamic relationship. It takes a secure guy to turn the reins of a defense over to somebody on your staff, and then you're like a father to your players.
Colson, the senior, getting a big hug from the coaches. Adams has to stay out there. That's where she'll be doing her celebrating in just a few seconds. 76-70. And Texas A&M is the 2011 champion. And for the first time in school history, the Aggies are the champs. Final score tonight from Conseco Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. Yes, indeed, Texas A&M is #1. They defeat Notre Dame 76-70.
All season long, Dave, they knew who they were and how they won. And Sydney Carter overcome with emotion. All of those hard days of practice, defense, all-out exertion. And you get a smile at the end of the year.
And a ring.
And a ring.
Along with a pretty nice trophy. Texas A&M finishing up their season 33-5. They had the thrilling win in the semifinal over Stanford. And then a close, hard-fought victory behind Danielle Adams, the All-America. She wound up with 30 in the championship.